Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Um, yeah, these few days are very uh, exciting. Lots of volatility, and I finally get the kind of pullback that I've wanted, pulling back into the weekly 9 EMA and the daily 50. So I'm still shorting Oklo and Marvel. I just found out that I called Marvel wrong for several months, I think. But actually kind of like MRVL. It just stands for Marvel, right? So I think I'm gonna keep calling it Marvel. Uh, and am I prepared for shorts or longs? For today, I'm not planning any trades. But I do keep like these the stocks that I think I would trade. Like some of them are a bit short biased, like Cornings. If the market gets weaker, like if if the market cannot get a decent bounce in the coming days, and maybe the 9 EMA crosses below the 21, or maybe there are a lot of meaningful breakdowns in the leaders. Like ARM is losing its the 50-day even. Maybe like, yeah, when the general market gets weaker, maybe like there's the AOI, maybe another one for the short side. But I think actually a lot of them can go both ways, can go either way. So I think it really depends. Like Intel is can also go either way, but I think it is a little bit more long biased. I quite I, I love the weekly. Like ARM, I think I want it to go sideways a bit more and let the weekly EMAs to catch up a bit, hopefully. But like SNDK, MU, I'm actually quite bullish on these two relative strength compared to the indices. And I think the volume is not really super gigantic enough yet, and the move is not crazily extended or going parabolic just yet. Looking for like more sideways and maybe looking for the longs when market starts turning up. And the crowd is also another one that I'm looking for the on the long side. It is the first pullback after this straight up rally from the low, up more than 100%, and this is the first pullback that it just got. I think it could be a really good base that setting up for another leg up. Cradle is another one that is showing huge relative strength. EMPH is also the one that is on the weekly is pulling back into the rising 9, and below there are the 21 and 50. I hope it can pulls back to the 21 and 50. So on the day it looks pretty crap, but I think on the weekly it is perfectly fine. And pulling back into the previous highs, I like it. I like it a lot. And Galaxy just super relative strength. And this CBRS is the neutral one. I think it can go either way. Hood is also looking pretty good on the long side. I love how it yesterday's action it holds the 50 EMA and reclaim. I haven't took any profits on these two shorts. But yesterday I shorted I mean a long. I took the SQQQ long and stock so short. Uh, but I covered it at the low of the day, so it's kind of like a day trade, but yeah, it works really well. I also took QBTS short, but I also covered it at the 50 EMA. So only upload and Morpho left, and would like to see would there be any further downside. But at this point, I think I'm looking for the long side mostly. Like, are there any possible support level that the market or the individual stocks can find? Yeah, Hood is pretty strong today also. Yeah, this Cradle is also super strong. And IWM is outperforming the Qs and the SPYs for the past few days during the pullback. So it's a really a positive sign, a green flag for the market. Although there are a lot of stocks are bouncing or breaking out or finding support right now, I am not very excited or to open new longs today. But the volatility is still very high. 60 minutes, we are still under the 9 EMA on both Qs and the SPY. We haven't. Yesterday's candle is still really wide, and we have the 9 and 21 EMA above us on the daily. To me, it's not that convincing just yet. Yeah, I think if you want to try like putting some longs today, I think it's also fine. But it's just my decision of not trading the long side today. Yeah, apps looks pretty good. The strongest software names. I wish it could be a little bit more liquid. It looks like pretty decent on the first 15 minutes, but I think at the same time, a lot of stocks that is rallying into the declining moving averages. So yeah, too early to say we are finding the low. Actually, AAOI's weekly is looking pretty decent too. A lot of the names, although the daily looks pretty weak. A lot of red candles, huge red candles, but the weekly they're holding up pretty nice. All the quantum names are pulling back into the weekly EMAs. Yeah, so actually I'm pretty bullish in the medium term, but in the short term, I would prefer to wait, to be patient a little bit more, to let the volatility tightens up a bit first, and maybe just spend a few days to shopping around near this range. That would be very good already. Yeah, some nice contraction would be perfect. The volatility is where it's easy to get 1,000 small cuts. Totally agree. Gold and silver have reached their 50-week EMA. Like to see they find support and bounce back into the declining 9 or 21. Hopefully, I don't know. If they went straight down into the 150 week EMA, that would be the worst thing that I would like to see. How would I manage my stop loss? Actually, I rarely manage them. if you rewatch my previous streams, I rarely manage my stop loss, like raising them to break even or just raising my stops. I think I rarely did that. Occasionally will, but like I just sold my RNQ up there. Uh, but rarely I would wait for the stock to fall back into my stop before I sell them. I just took them off before it comes into my stop. So it's a bit so the stop will be kind of a protective measure, precautionary measure for a sudden gap down or a black swan, and then the market falls. The Qs went down by 10% in a single day, like intraday. My selling is more discretionary. I think very discretionary. I think a lot of software names are showing decent relative strengths during the past few days. Reddit looking pretty decent, both daily and weekly. Do you think that the correction can be over with today? How would you be sure that the correction is over and will be okay to go long again? I don't know. But I would like to. I would like the volatility to come down a bit first, and I would like to wait for a few more days to let the indices or the market to maybe digest some selling pressure. Maybe at least needs to climb above the 60-minute 9 EMA. That will be some of the maybe some of the checklist that I would like to take. But I don't know. It really depends. I really don't know. Let's say the market gets rejected today and continues lower, and maybe in early next week it went down to like the anchor VWAP level from the swing low, and the like maybe even the 21 EMA on the weekly. So and also they got pretty extended on the downside, because like for maybe 2 to 3 days move to around 660. That is a pretty extended move, and I was in that case, even though like the volatility is still high, still far away from the 60-minute 9 EMA, but I would also I would consider in that scenario, in that case, it is a great spot to take some longs. What do you think of AOI short today? Yeah, rally into the 9 and 21 EMA and go VWAP. For this individual stock, I think it's a really good entry. For the general market, Qs is a bit in the no man's land, like hanging in between the EMAs. So it will be quite dangerous. It could snap higher into the declining 21 or even the declining 9, and then before it turned lower, and it will be really hard to trade the short side, especially because the general market is still in an uptrend. So like if the Qs is below the 50 EMA, then I think AOI short right here is a really good entry. But like I think like it's all about probabilities, right? And if the market somehow gets really bearish and that the downside momentum is strong enough, then like I think this is a really good entry, but just not the perfect market condition, I think. But yeah, who knows? Maybe the market would start. It's gonna rolling over in the coming, yeah, in the later part of the day, but just not that convincing, or like happens that often. Do you still study? How and how often do you study? Do you study on weekends? Your past trades that worked and didn't work. Mostly during weekends, and I I focus a lot on my past trades, especially the losses. Yeah, actually, I have around 20 losing trades in the last few days of the move, like before it starts crumbling down the general market. So actually, that is a really good sign for me to, and it also explains why I sized down a lot on Thursday. Yeah, so I love to look back my past trades into my past trades, and but also for some winners I will also reflect on how I exited the trade. So I think that my exits are definitely not decent enough. Like ARM, I think it's fine to. It's fine to sell all. I think on this Monday, but I failed to hold it on the Tuesday, and then I missed the 100% move. And Marvel is another one. Yeah, I should have trailed it better, but I believe I got shaken out on maybe on this Tuesday. I think so. It's a bit unfortunate. I think I we buy it on this day here, but I got shaken out on this day. So yeah, and apart from the trades that I took, I also look at the trades that didn't take. I missed. So would like to see, are there any possible entries that I could take, or I could find out before, if I can trade the same chart again. And I think AMD, I missed the whole run. Is it? Yeah, I think I missed. Yeah, I missed the whole run. Uh, yeah, but looking back, I don't find much good entry point actually. I think at least for now. So either I bought it at the low of the on of this day, but it is the 2nd of April, so it's still at the beginning of the uptrend. Like 2nd of April is the Qs is still above the EMAs, and you have to be really pinpoint to finding AMD on that day and take it. And after that, maybe you need to chase for the gap ups, or just buy on the intraday pullback and set the stop at the day low. But yeah, looking back, it's don't find really good entry spots. 20 losing long and short. Yeah, I think both long and short, but I only took ARM shorts on the gap up day. The first of This is the only short that I took before the distribution day last Friday. What's my drawdown percent at the moment? Before yesterday, I have around 20% drawdown from the peak. But yesterday I recovered a lot of them. I think I'm now only 6 or 7% below the peak, I think. Do you consider distribution days in your analysis? Not really, but because I mean, distribution day is just a term that created by some other traders, but But a candle like this on Friday is just you just can't ignore it. And I would say it's a change of character, like opening week, close week, a huge volume. Weekly also it's like a bearish engulfing candle, like trying to trying to climb higher but fails and close below the prior week low. I mean, further, much further than that. So it's definitely, I think I would call it a change of character. So yeah, after this candle, then either you just you just sitting out and not doing anything, or you look for the short side. I think in my opinion. I didn't mention doing the shorts because I believe shorting is much more difficult than doing the longs, and so I don't recommend uh, everyone doing it. What did I say yesterday? Uh, Yesterday market gaps up and rallies into the anchor VWAP from the swing high, and yeah, on the 30-minute it's also at the 50 EMA, and the 50 is crossing below the 150. And individual stock wise, there are a lot of the names like yeah, the quantum names are already below the 9 EMA. Like a lot of the names are rallying into the declining EMAs. And yeah, so I took the short I think on this candle or this one, SQQQ. And at the same time I also shorted SOXL on the similar candle as well. And then I covered them in the lows. Why short SOXL instead of long? I think you mean SOXS because this is low priced, so the spread will be a bit larger. And if I decided to hold for maybe a few days swing move, shorting a leverage long ETF would have a smaller decay. Is that the term? I mean, because the leverage ETF would has in mathematically it has a disadvantage. That's why uh, I'm not sure about the leverage short ETF, but leverage long ETF compared to the original one, like the non-leverage one, when it goes sideways, the leverage long ETF is going to underperform. How much percent do you risk for intraday versus swing? Um, no difference. It all depends on the stop. And I didn't yesterday short. I'm not planning to trade it intraday. I did not expect the market to fall that fast yesterday, so that's why I took yeah, covered the shorts a bit aggressively, like but yeah, like do it covering intraday, but I still hold, as you can see, I still hold the Oglo and Marvel shorts. So yeah, I mean the leverage ETFs are more volatile. So after a huge down day, I would expect a bounce and a pretty strong bounce really soon in the future. Like and it did bounce up quite a bit. So the first, I don't want to give up too much profits if the market really finds the bottom here, and I don't want it to get shaken out from the leverage ETFs because they're much more volatile, and I think I would get shaken out much more easily than the individual names. And for shorts, I think yeah, it's definitely better to cover them into weakness. Yeah, the market looks pretty decent today. Recovering the 60-minute 9 EMA. Some names are setting up quite beautifully. Intel, if Intel can hold above the 21 or just hold above today's low, I think is good enough. Or the anchor VWAP. Uh, Quantum's names can, I don't know, maybe maybe if if they can hold above the 60-minute 9 EMA or any of the EMAs in a lower time frame, that would be nice. Or letting the 15 minutes EMAs to converge a bit, like doing something like this, that would be much better and what I would like to see. But still, the market again is still pretty volatile. I I think it's too early to say. A firm finding support at NWWeb from 30th of March. 30th of, yeah, I think, yeah. Also overlaps with the 150 EMA or the 50 EMA or the weekly or the weekly EMAs. Mm, it's not this. It's not the strongest stock within this software sector. So I think on this one, maybe, yeah, for the long side, it's not that attractive uh, as of now, but definitely I would not like to short this one. So like if I would like to pick a short candidate, I'm not going to choose a firm. So it's yeah, not attractive enough on the long side, but definitely not on the short side. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Uh, not the best days of making new trades. I think after such a crazy rally, it's time to take some time off the screen and prepare for the next leg up, the next rally. Hopefully, the market mm, will not will not lift off when I'm not around the screen. So yeah, thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you in the next one.